you all for being here. So, 3 fun facts about me before we get the party started. 1, I'm a second-degree black belt, so please don't get me upset today. I don't want to throw some karate chops, okay? However, I stopped at the age of 18, so my kicks might not be the same anymore, maybe like this high, not up here anymore. Second one is I ride the penny board. A penny board is like a small little skateboard, kind of like this, kind of matches my height, perfect height. So if you ever see me on campus, please just wave hi. Don't say, yo, Jen, because I might trip. I have fallen. Luckily, it wasn't that bad, and most importantly, it wasn't in front of anyone. So I got up like nothing, right? Third, I love to teach and dance. That is also my, kind of like my side hubby. I do have a hubby, but kind of like my dance is my past, like my favorite thing to do. So it's also a language from hip hop to merengue, to cumbia sonideras. I love it all. That is my happy place, but it's also academic advisement. And that's why I'm here today, because all of the amazing work that you all do, we make this happen for our students. And graduation is coming up, so I cannot wait to see that progress and seeing our students walk that stage. Can't wait for it. So, welcome to those of you that are here today and from Zoom. I see you all from the comfort of your home. Kind of jealous with that little snuggie. Hopefully we're snuggled up. But for those of you that are here in person, thank you for joining us in INTS 1128. We can't forget the number, right? Today's presentation is being recorded and will be available on chas.ucr.edu. Today, we will also enjoy a live performance from our very own undergraduate student and graduate student. And we're gonna get to see all of the amazing things that they do. So we're gonna have a really beautiful performance and also a 40-minute presentation by our not only one and only Professor of History and CHASS Dean Daryle Williams, followed by a brief Q&A. Now, before we get started with today's event, we wanna take a moment for a UCR land acknowledgement.
We at UCR would like to respectfully acknowledge and recognize our responsibility to the original and current caretakers of this land, water, and air, the Cahuilla, Tonga, Luceño, and Serrano peoples, and all of their ancestors and descendants, past, present, and future. Today, this meeting place is home to many indigenous peoples from all over the world, including UCR faculty, students, and staff. And we are grateful to have the opportunity to live and work on these homelands.
That's right, very powerful. Voiceover is provided by Curtis Washington, a UCR retiree who was a senior mail processor in UCR's distribution services. Now, without further ado, please help me welcome one of our very own special students, Dade Amatuanai, graduating 4th year music major, woo woo. From San Jose, California, Dade's musical influences include Polynesian artists like Finn Gruva, Fiji, and his mother. Dade is a student employee at Asian Pacific Student Programs and the Vice President of the Pacific Islander Student Association. Graduating this month, cannot wait to see you walk that stage. Hey, look at, yes. With a degree in music, Dade plans to pursue a career in higher education. Yes, so you'll be joining us. That's right. Focusing on financial aid or student counseling. Please, take it away.
Hi, pleasure to be with y'all. As previously introduced, my name is Dade Elias Amatuanai. I'm a transfer student from Sacramento, California, but definitely being here at UCR has helped me kind of find community, kind of a focus too as to my career goals were going to be. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but definitely nearing the end of my career, experiencing a lot what I've had to experience with the people that I've experienced it with has helped me solidify what my goals are going to be. So yeah, a few of these songs I'm going to sing with you are some songs that kind of connect to the class material that I've actually been learning these past couple months. So the first one's going to be Don't Forget by the Rebel Soldiers, and then the second one's going to be a different rendition of Never Leave Me Alone by Nate Dogg. So. My check, yeah, okay. Never thought anything good could ever love something so bad. I never sleep, I'm in the streets, yes. There's the money in the bag, so I gotta keep count. I hid my smile and my happiness till you came my way. Brought me sunny days, where would I be without you? I couldn't live without you, you know it's true. My heart was black and blue till you came to my rescue. Bless you, your ex should have never left you. Shawty, you're the best thing and a blessing. If the police came and arrest me, just in case I don't make it home tonight, can you sing a little prayer for me? I'll be good as long as you're there for me. In the summer heat, in the winter cold, until I come home. Don't forget about us, baby. Don't forget my love for you. Don't forget all the kisses in my trunk, baby. Don't you forget, you're the one in a million. Won't do, I don't wanna see you falling. Tears in the middle of my hearing. Girl, you make it all better. Even if the judge doesn't show me no love, I'll be in the moment you took me in. Before they put the handcuffs on again, send me to read them. I'll still be with you, my guardian angel, just in case I don't make it home tonight. Can you sing a little prayer for me? I'll be good as long as you're there for me. In the summer heat, in the winter cold, until I come home. Don't forget about us, baby. Don't forget my love for you. Don't forget all the kisses in my trunk, baby. Don't you forget, you're the one in a million. Don't forget. Thank you. And yeah, the second song I will be singing for you, like I said, is Never Leave Me Alone by Nate Dogg. This one's more R&B than the original song, but yeah, here we go. They tell me that temptation, who is very hard to resist. You tell me that you want me. I try to hide my feelings. DOGs ain't supposed to feel like this. Call it what you want to, but I don't even know what this is. You've got me singing in the morning. You bring me breakfast in my bed, and when it hurts you rub my head. I'll ask you one time only, baby, won't you be there when it's hectic, when I don't have a hit record? Never leave me alone, alone. Never leave me alone. Never leave me alone, alone. Never leave me alone. I've traveled so many places. I've seen so many faces, and there were times I didn't think I'd make it through. I've went through so many phases that've got me so many cases. 3 strikes, you're gone. Then what you gonna do? Ooh. Guess I'll call my lady, tell her to kiss my baby, tell me that crime is all I know how to do. Tell him his daddy's sorry. Let him know all about me. There's one more thing I really want you to do. Never leave me alone. Never leave me alone. Alone. Never leave me alone. Never leave me alone. Alone. Never leave me alone. Whoa! Thank you.
And don't forget, you have to put this on your resume. Very important. Gotta do that academic advisement, you know? Thank you so much. Our next guest, please give a really warm welcome to our next presenter, our next performer, Victoria Hurtado Angulu, MFA in Creative Writing and Writing for the Performing Arts. Victoria has hosted 2 Writers Week panels in person and online for writers such as Allison Hedgecote and Jan Beatty. Her play, What These Flowers Do at Night, A Message to the World, was featured in UCR's Latino play production this year. Woo woo! Victoria is a co-founder of Art of Nothing Press, a Southern California publication of poetry, short stories, and visual arts. Take it away.
All right. Hi. I see some familiar faces. This is nice. I'm going to read one poem that's currently in my manuscript. And this is one of the deeper sides, so it might go a little emotional, but yes. Claire de Lune. Grandma put in bed with 2 hours of this music on screen, with bright blue against the darkness of the wall, all in every corner covered, dressed in a blue. Something. I will always remember, this is the calmest I've felt since I was a child lying on my mother's lap as she brushed my forehead softly, watching TV. Calm from a person dying, a woman turned away from me, trying to sleep, worried I'd wake, finding her gone. Like the blue told her secrets that crept between materials, sheets, the static, coming from deep silence, yelling into her ears. Like the keys of a piano, remind her of girlfriends forcing her to come out and party, pulling her hands as archangels. They drink, and she finally feels free, dancing on tables, seeing her friends laugh. For the first time, it means something. No popped bottles and flirting, dimming out. Only the piano, holding notes she's only heard in a dream, like sleep. Blanketed ceiling tucked so tightly, you could call them walls. If it makes your eyes feel better. Well, they held her, wrapped her arms around, taking her to bed. Wrapped her arms around, taking her to bed as children feel after curfew. The child lifted up into arms. TV after the program in unrequited blue. She's sleeping. Her granddaughter creating a memory, blue walls, blue skin, blue image on eyes, blue TV throw to blue. Blue cannot live without blue. Colors of living don't make her happy, but at least she sees as she lives it without noise or breathing. Claire de Lune cued. Thank you.
Thank you so much. What amazing students we have here at UCR. Now for the next show, We have a small QR code here. Again, thank God for the technology. We want to make sure that at this moment we silence our cell phones, our electronic gadgets, the Apple Watch, the Apple Pen, whatever electronic device you have that makes any noises, please make sure we silence that, okay? Now, we please ask that we keep going. So in case you want to watch any other, get to see the show later, please, you can see it on chas.ucr.edu. But without further ado, please, let's get all of our hands together for the history of Professor of History, CHASS Dean Daryle Williams. Woo!
The screen is not working.
Thank you, Jen. It's great to be here. It's great to see you all in person, for those of you online as well. And I want to thank Jen. The work that she has done as an advisor is so valuable to this college. It's valuable to me. I'm deeply appreciative of the work that she brought, the energies and the efforts across English and Spanish and Spanglish to recruit what's shaping up to be the largest incoming Frosh class in the history of our college. Jen has been doing this all the while joining many of her academic advisor peers who are here today to boost credit hours, the credit hour workload for our continuing students. I'm grateful to know that each and all of you staff professionals have been there helping us get more than 2,600 graduating seniors across the finish line at Toyota Arena on June 21st. Shout outs also go to Dade. I don't know where Dade exactly went here in Victoria for sharing their talents and their hearts and their creativity across their studies. Also extend a thank you to our Assistant Dean, Jeff Giroux, and the Marketing, Communications, and Events team, Cindy Williams, and the FAO team, Paul Richardson, and the CHASS Facilities team, James Lynn, and the college and campus IT teams for helping make today possible. And of course, also thanks to Tracy Avery, Executive Assistant, who keeps me informed and on time. All right. Today is a moment to ask ourselves, what is the state of CHASS? And of course, it's a moment to reflect. It's a moment to focus, but it's also a moment to reflect and to celebrate why we're here and how we've got here. I'm going to start out with three terms that I used earlier this quarter in a presentation to the Regents back in March, which that presentation ended with three terms: vibrant, urgent, and necessary. And when my talk to the Regents was specifically about advocacy and the importance of storytelling on Capitol Hill, these three terms frame this larger message that I'd like to share with you all about the state of the college: vibrant, urgent, and necessary. As you all know, our college is very big and there's a lot to cover, but I want to stress today, if we continue to prioritize student success, and for the students themselves, for their instructors, and for the very real-time financial implications of student success, we will go forward and do great, wonderful things for educational attainment and world-class research in inland Southern California. So let's start out with vibrant and the vibrancy of the work that is being done today. I'm going to start out with UCR Arts, and this has been an exceptionally strong year at UCR Arts. Just in the past month, Getty committed more than $300,000 to UCR Arts for support of its participation in the 2024 Pacific Standard Time show, Art and Science Collide. This builds upon the accreditation from the American Alliance of Museums last spring. Last fall, the Cristina Fernandez exhibit, which was co-sponsored by the National Endowment for the Arts. This spring itself, the California Museum of Photography at 50 exhibition, which continues to go strong. And in the coming fall, UCR Arts will welcome David Driscoll and Friends, a show which is putting CHASS on the map for the deepening conversation about the long and vibrant roots of African American visual cultures. I want to thank very sincerely Interim Executive Director Doug McCullough and Trudy Cohen for leading and sustaining UCR Arts during this critical time of accomplishment and transition. But those accomplishments certainly don't stop in downtown Riverside, and we have fresh news, great news from right here on campus. Distinguished creative writing professor Leila Leilami has been selected for Harvard University's prestigious and exceptionally competitive Radcliffe Institute Fellowship for the next academic year. We know Leila is an accomplished novelist, and now she's working on her newest project, The Dream Hotel, that she describes as a work of speculative fiction about a museum archivist who is detained by government agents after an algorithm determines that she will commit a crime. You may also know that Leila is the author of the opening essay of just out New York Times Magazine's special issue about the state of California. So let's all congratulate Leila for her exceptional work. Next. In here we have some vibrancy also from some of our grad students who also happen to be going to Harvard. Canberra Sklartz, who's not able to be with us today, has just been awarded the Diane and Michael Mayer Fellowship in American Art at the Harvard Art Museums. This builds upon a fellowship that she held previously at UPenn's McNeil Center for Early American Studies, and also the work that Canberra did right here at UCR through our long-standing and wonderful Gluck Fellows program. So congratulations as well to Canberra. Now we have more than 10,000 undergraduate majors who are also doing equally vibrant things, and maybe many of them will also eventually go off to Harvard as well. And here is a sampling of the many diverse and talented CHASS students that we have. Shannon Brady, whose work in psychological research lies at the intersection of language, culture, and emotion. Hector Jimenez Herrera, a history major who started looking at period photographs and advertisements, started also to wear period clothing, as you may have seen him, and now wants to be a museum archivist. Kayla Batchelor, whose hometown is right here in Riverside. She's an honor student, a member of her campus, UCR, and the English Majors Association, who's currently working at the Academic Resource Center as a reading and writing tutor and plans to attend a PhD in English. And then Natalie Sheehan, who's also an English Majors Association member, part of Gamma Beta Phi National Honor Society, who's aspiring to pursue a teaching credential in English and in history. These students, undergraduate and graduate, remind us that all of our students are driven, diverse, and first gen. The majority are Californians by birth, some by migration. Each has their own motivation and unique story. And with CHASS, each earns the educational credentials to effect change for themselves, for their families, and for the world. I invite you all to take a moment to applaud all of our remarkable students. Now, Simon Tam is one of those diverse, driven, and first-gen students who is making an impact. Simon went from being a child of immigrants and a transfer student from San Diego's East County to studying religion and philosophy here with us, also while playing rock music across Southern California. From UCR, Simon went on to the Pacific Northwest to form the Slants, a band, and eventually to be an activist author who brought a winning case before the United States Supreme Court. I had the pleasure of spending 2 days with Simon in my inaugural Dean's Speaker Series at the end of April. And here is just a sampling of that experience with Simon in his own words, courtesy of University Relations.
Hey, I'm Simon Tam. I'm a UCR alum, and I'm so glad to be back at UC Riverside. I'm here with my band, The Slants. We're performing at the Bell Tower, doing a series of concerts and presentations, some visits of students and faculty as well, to talk about my life and what it was like to not only start one of the world's first all-Asian American dance rock bands, but for us to embark on this legal journey that took us all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. I'm so excited to share that story and what it means for communities to seize their own identities. A lot has changed since I've been to Riverside the last time. Downtown is not flourishing in quite the same way as it is now. For students, I really encourage you while you are here to really tap into that community, explore, ask. Make as many connections as possible, because it is that network that will carry you forward. It is the relationships that you build with your peers and your fellow students that will help inform you of other opportunities in the future. One of my favorite quotes is from both Barack Obama and Martin Luther King Jr. They said that the moral arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice. And I like to remind folks that that moral arc, it doesn't bend on its own. It requires patience, persistence, and people who are willing to step up. In other words, people with bold hearts and brilliant minds. People who are willing to extend dignity to other people. I believe it is both an honor as well as a responsibility to extend dignity and grace to others, especially those who don't have as much of a voice or as much power in this world. And if you can use that, that's how we can change the world together. And, or as I like to say, make some trouble.
Thank you, Brittany. So, Simon went from being a CHASS undergraduate to becoming an ardent defender of free speech and Asian American civil rights. He reminds us of the outsized impact that each and every one of our students have in their chosen disciplines. And the truth is, each and every one of those students form the fourth largest academic unit in all of the UC, which is CHASS. That is huge, and it's no wonder we're making change and even making some trouble. Now, it's important to remind ourselves that CHASS is half of this university, UCR, and that university is making its own impact, both as an R1 and a minority-serving institution. We participate, if not lead, the national conversation about the demographic future of the R1 in US higher education. We're doing transformative research that needs to be amplified and elevated to secure our rightful place in Carnegie classifications for community engagement. And in that context, we are maximizing the benefits of our consortial memberships at the American Council of Learned Societies and the Social Science Research Council. We still have work to do to deepen our growing relationships with program officers at federal agencies and foundations. I think it's time that we in CHASS embrace the ambition of the Alliance for Hispanic Serving Research Institutions, which gives us some unique leverage in amplifying the importance of Latinx scholars and scholarship. And as of today, we are now members of the American Association of Universities. AAU membership was a goal of mine. If you recall last year, I said we were knocking at the door of AAU in this college. Today that door's open. We're walking through it in this college, at this university. I want to thank all of you who've been working at this to make it happen. It's an exceptional moment. I'm very proud of this institution. I'm very proud of each and every one of us. So, with that said, we're still grappling with the constraints that are placed on this urgent work that we do. And it's going to take all of us, with a sense of urgency and purpose, to continue the success that we've just spotlighted and been recognized nationally earlier today. So this is a moment to focus on some of the key measures of student success and the people who make student success urgent. It's a time to talk specifically about those people, and I'm going to start with the students themselves, move on to staff, and then, of course, also faculty. So, for students and student success, we in CHASS continue to focus on mapping an arc of undergraduate student success that begins in high school and community college and follows all the way through commencement. This requires embedding ourselves in the recruitment and admissions process, participating in recruitment events at regional high schools, Highlander Days, yield events, and engaging our international partners in Mexico, South Korea, and beyond. Of course, in the college for our students is strengthening high-impact practice opportunities, UCDC, California College Corps, Moot Court. And in this process, supporting all of our majors in graduating in a timely manner as close to UC 2030 goals as feasible. And also making sure that each of the students who graduate are prepared for fulfilling careers of their choice. Now, undergraduates are important. Graduate students are also important. We have to ask ourselves, where are we positioned for graduate student success? We can think about new expanded degree opportunity programs, the new MA in economics, and the exploration of 4+1 and 3+2 programs throughout the college. But I think a larger and very pressing issue right now for graduate student success is this college will meet the obligations of just and fair compensation for their academic labor. But in doing that, we're also looking very closely at graduate training to map coursework and the benchmarks in knowledge production to professional placements. Now, throughout that process, it's important to support graduate students in securing teaching, research, and creativity grants that are offered by the National Humanities Center and ACLS, California Humanities, among many others. And I want to remark that even as the Ford Foundation, among others, is withdrawing program fellowship support for graduate students, as in some of the fields that are important to us, we have new opportunities, such as National Science Foundation's Build and Broaden program, which is an initiative to enhance social science, behavioral, and economic science research and capacity at minority-serving institutions. For all students and alumni, events like Senior Send-Off, Commencement and Homecoming, and the Dean Speaker Series help us celebrate our students and build lifelong connections of academic community. And we all know that CHASS has an outsized representation in honorees for UCR Alumni Awards of Distinction. Those awardees are paving the path for the next generation of leaders with a CHASS degree. Now, in the urgency of our student success, we also must think very closely about staff success and the urgency there. And this is what we're doing. As we all know, a lot of well-known economic and fiscal challenges over the last couple of years. And we've managed, in that context, still to make dozens of successful recruitments and placements, and at the same time growing the college staff by a total of 8 FTE in the past 2 years. Key to success is a competitive market. In this very competitive market is a sense of purpose and a flexible remote policy that's been modeled by other colleges. A primary win in this past year has been the placement of 2 additional new student advisors for the social sciences and the open recruitment for a new senior position as assistant dean for student success, which I will remind you all, if you didn't know, is the only second position in the entire UC to be approved. Significance of our staff. Today, I'm also excited to share several additional initiatives to develop, increase, and reward staff. I'm going to create a new staff strategic advisory committee to make recommendations on staffing with an expectation of those recommendations to me by December of 2023. Some of those recommendations could be implemented as early as January 2024. I've already been working with the Chief Human Resource Officer and campus staff groups to help identify members of this advisory committee and also to frame what our strategic and metric-driven approaches to our staffing challenges and their solutions. I've asked Erica Leone, our HR partner, to work with Coro Southern California for increasing CHASS representation in Coro's very successful Fellows Program. I've been talking just 2 days ago with the Vice Chancellor and Chief Diversity Officer to create a CHASS Staff Equity Advisor to join the Dean's senior leadership team. And today, I'm very pleased to announce I'm setting aside $25,000 for next year for staff education and certifications, which will be available as early as July 1st, 2023. Now, let's take a moment to celebrate what staff success looks like today. Sean Davis, student academic advisor, first gen student, and like so many of our students, has gone on to make an important, direct, and meaningful impact here in the Inland Empire. He is also a black belt in Taekwondo. And our student marketing team just in the last week have put together a wonderful video to help Sean tell his story in his own words.
My name is Sean Davis. I am an academic advisor for the College of Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences, also known as CHASS. I have been at UCR for the past 4 years, and currently I am one of the primary academic advisors for the Department of Economics. I think what makes CHASS College unique is just how diverse the entire college is, right? We have more than 60 majors, more than 20 departments, over 10,000 students. But the unique thing about CHASS is just how diverse every student is, right? The student population is a mirror of the community of Southern California, and nothing beats being around like-minded individuals from all different backgrounds and cultures. And so just being around everybody, I think, is a cool thing that CHASS brings, and students are really able to benefit from it and learn from each other when it comes to that. Students should choose CHASS because, again, we have so many different majors. Now, whatever goal you have, we have a major that can help you reach your goal. And the best thing about CHASS is that we have such a supporting academic advising team. We are here to help you from the day you start at CHASS all the way up until you walk across the college stadium, right, when you get your diploma at graduation. In 2018, I graduated with a master's in educational counseling. Initially, I wanted to go and work with students in the K through 12 setting, but I always tell students, you know, life always brings you places you don't necessarily see, and you end up where you need to be. So after I graduated, I had the opportunity to start here working with students college level, and I've been here since then, and I hope to continue growing as an individual and working with students, helping them succeed in reaching their goals that they have once they become a Highlander. The thing I enjoy most about academic advising is building connections with my students. Being able to work with them in an appointment on a one-on-one advising session gives me an opportunity to build a relationship and get to know them. The thing that I'm excited about most, or that I enjoy the most, is being able to see them succeed, right? So seeing them coming back to me saying, hey Sean, I did really good on a test. I got really good grades. I've worked really hard. The thing that I love most is being able to participate at commencement and seeing them walk across the stage knowing that I had a small part in their hero. Now, I am a little biased, and I am working in the Department of Economics. Now, if you would have asked me this maybe a few years ago, I probably would not have said this, but I really would want to become a major in economics, being able to see how the world operates, understanding the market. The cool thing with the Department of Economics is that we have student-led organizations called the Highlander Economics Club. We also have an honor society that has really just reinitiated, and being able to be with students trying to achieve the same goal and learning about, again, how the world operates is probably why I would choose economics.
Let's give it up to Sean. All right. The urgency of this work is equally driven by the faculty who are committed to educational attainment and world-class research. And I'm pleased to extend a shout out to Maisha Cherry and Kalina Michalska, two early career scholars of excellence working locally and nationally who have just been promoted to the rank of associate professor with tenure. Maisha launched the Emotion and Society Lab, which is a unique network humanities lab based right here at UCR. And as a first-generation college student herself and one of the very few Black female philosophers in the United States, Maisha understands the need to make philosophy meaningful for our inner selves and in the public sphere. Kalina is a recipient of a 5-year National Science Foundation Award that will enable her lab to study the long-term effects of ethnic and racial discrimination and parental socialization of children. As many of you know, her research is deeply embedded in the lives and needs of inland Southern California. And CHASS is now including, among its organizations, one of the 5 labor centers in the UC. This particular center is being led by 4 mid-career and advanced tenured faculty members, Ellen Reese, Ricky Rodriguez, Marissa Brooks, and Michael Bates. And together they will be providing cutting-edge research which is focusing on working Californians, especially workers of color, immigrants, and low-wage earners. These are our faculty, and this is the urgent work that they are doing in the now. So, shout out to there. And it's a great opportunity to take a look at some of the rising faculty and what a rising generation of faculty success looks and feels like. A UCR PhD, Jalandra Davis, first-year professor of English. Researches the intersections of Black studies, women and gender sexuality studies, and contemporary fiction and popular culture. Jalandra's discoveries illuminate the important and many times intentionally omitted historical connections between Black people and water. And Jalandra can tell you much better than I about her work, and so let's go to this video courtesy of University Relations.
I'm still a baby mermaid. I just learned to swim partly because I have a young child and because I want to be a mermaid. It's always been something I've really identified with, and now mermaids is my life's work. One of the things I'm really zeroing in on is this idea of the Middle Passage as the birth of mermaid species, and I call this idea the crossing merfolk. It's a way to bear witness to the history, but how you can do it in a way that allows you to experience healing as well. It's important because Black people also need access to fantasy, and I just don't think that there's any more awe-inspiring image or idea than that of the mermaid. I loved Disney growing up, I loved princesses, I loved fairy tales, and even though there's more options now, it's important that all girls get to see someone who looks like them. As a faculty member, there just isn't a better possible place for me. It's the perfect place to do science fiction and fantasy work. My students are all coming from different backgrounds, and so using the mermaid to imagine a way to connect to an ancestral past that was stolen from them, to work through a trauma and a violence that they've inherited intergenerationally. And that's something that a lot of my students could identify with. To see the vulnerability help students get to the analysis, and the analysis help them to get to some kind of deeper meaning for themselves personally. That's it, like that's the chef's kiss of teaching. It's one of the most powerful experiences I've ever had, and this Mermaids Project is one of the things that got me there.
I'm sure you all agree with me that it is urgent that we provide Jalandra with this space to succeed and to provide the support for others like Jalandra to follow in her footsteps or in her mermaid swims there. This urgency informs my commitment to approving, and I must admit, a dizzying number of 27 faculty recruitments and completing at least 12 successful faculty retentions this year alone. Jalandra was one of 4 presidents or chancellor's postdocs hired last year, and she's soon to be joined by 5 additional president's postdocs, chancellor's postdocs, hires completed this year. I don't have an exact number of the new recruitments for next fiscal year because we're waiting on some money figures, which we'll talk about in just a second, but we must continue an aggressive effort to restore and grow our Senate faculty, led by my quite public and very aggressive plan to be the leader in the UC in the President's Postdoc, Chancellor's Postdoc faculty hiring program. The urgency of the moment and the importance of the work of Jalandra and her peers calls for nothing less. Now, how are we going to get this done? It's going to take money and resources, some will. I'll draw on something that Darren Walker, the president of the Ford Foundation, shared last night at a talk. It's also going to require some hopefulness as well. It's certainly going to take greater stability in our financial position and an iterative relationship to the goals set in UCR 2030, which is the campus strategic plan just launched by Provost Watkins. And I'm about to move into a metric-driven portion of the presentation. I'm going to talk more about metric perspectives here, where we are. I'm going to sit here at the podium so I make sure I can look at my notes closely here. To start off by reminding ourselves where we are budget-wise. Campus annual budget is about $1 billion, a little bit more than $1 billion. CHASS has a budget about 10% of that, or about $100 million. $100 million is a lot of money. Let's just face it, it's a lot of money, but it is not adequate for the size and scope and ambition of this college. Most of that money is dedicated to the people who make this college run as a liberal arts core at the premier R1 minority serving institution in Southern California, and of course, advancing our teaching and research mission. With people at the core of our budget, 97% of our budget is in salaries and in benefits. It's hiring, retaining, development, and fair compensation of people that remain fundamental to our financial health. So, where does the money for these people come from? Sponsored research in philanthropy will play a role, and I want them to play a bigger role. But for this moment in time at CHASS, in our organizational life, the money primarily comes from state allocations and from the tuition dollars generated in the education of California residents. So in this scenario, we return to the importance of student success as a good unto itself and also as a financial necessity. Let's take a longer look at the past 10 years where we've been, and this has a lot of information on it, but it's principally mapping people in this particular case here. And we can see growth of faculty, staff, and students in the 2010s, especially after the new budget model was rolled out in 2014, 2015. But then hiring freezes were imposed upon us during the pandemic, which led to a modest decline in the number of faculty and staff off our 2020 peak. But you can see a greater level of volatility in student workload, which is a major mover of student enrollment. Up and down, it has had a major impact on our budget, especially recently. And this is a reminder that everyone in the college, no matter what you do in the college, is invested in enrollment, because enrollments are the investments in our people in the college. So if we take a closer look here, we zoom in on enrollment and its relationship to revenue, looking at a slightly longer time frame than the previous slide, adding on some projections for 2023. We can see that when enrollment grows, our budget grows. When it starts to decline, as it did during the pandemic and has continued to do so since, unfortunately, we start to dip into the red into our annual adjustments, that middle line there in the bottom table. And then you can also see a decline in our year-end budget as well. So, it's an unfortunate situation we're in right now, but it's a clear example of the relationship that we have around enrollment and our needs to focus there, undergraduate enrollments. Early returns on fall admissions this year are very positive. Almost in some ways scarily too positive, because we've got to educate all these students who've said yes to that, but we'll do that. And our intentional efforts to increase student workloads are helping to stabilize our budget for FY24. But we have to have a year like this year, next year, and the following year, and every year until we're out of the red. We need to continue to focus on the metrics of enrollment to stabilize our financial position. So, there are other metrics, of course, to think about here, which are necessary. And so one of those is student graduation, which of course is another pillar of student success. We pride ourselves on graduating our students with minimal disparities across ethnicities and economic lines here at UCR. I'm sure this was one of the things that got us into the AAU. Every student who comes to us should be provided with the opportunity to graduate. But we can see 1 in 4 of those students are not graduating from UCR. You can see this in the lower line there, which is a graph which looks at the more or less the 75% rate most recently available for 6-year graduation rates. Now, 75% sounds decent, certainly a major improvement as it was 10 years ago, but we have to do better. There's a social justice argument to provide every admit with every opportunity to fulfill the promise that we extend to them upon admission. But there are also financial implications as well. With each and every student who makes it into the commencement stage, we are strengthening our enrollments and the underlying financial support that comes with each student. Now, there's a longer conversation here about the investments we have to make in student success, and particularly student success in relationship to UC 2030 benchmarks for it. But I want to signal this year, as I did last year, that frosh and transfer graduation rates now must be a factor in resource allocations in the college. Our investments are going to be starting now, this year, and the returns, we hope, are going to be long-term. Now, but those are long-term investments, long-term gains. Graduation rates, unlike admissions, takes a much more, the phase is much longer here. So we also need to look at resource allocation in the very near term. And we need to consider carefully our financial position relative to recent trends in the resolution of the budget cuts, which were unfortunately imposed upon this college, this university, the UC during the pandemic, as well as trends in undergraduate enrollment and meeting the obligations of the UAW contracts. This slide here provides a focus on FY23, our current fiscal year, through FY25. So this is the now. It's simplified. This is a simplified table. There's lots of things that are not reflected here, but nonetheless, it's a useful look at where we stand. This assumes that our faculty FTE and our master's programs remain constant. In other words, they're not shrinking. And we are still projecting a concerning deficit, and it needs careful and focused attention. Because enrollments are so central to this financial situation, Cindy, thanks to Cindy, has modeled out 3 different basic scenarios about enrollments as the key variable. Scenario number 1, our undergraduate enrollments, total undergraduate enrollments decline by 1.5% per year through 2025. That's a rate which is a little bit actually lower than the actual declines that we've faced in the past 2 years. So this is somewhat of a conservative decline. Scenario number 2, flat enrollments. Scenario number 3, a 1.5% growth in enrollments through 25. Even in the most optimistic scenario, growth, 1.5%, which would be a reverse of where we've been. Just want to be honest here. We're still ending up in the red. You can see the total year of a $1.5 million total deficit. But this deficit is smaller than the 5.7. It is more manageable through cash management and opportunistic work that can be done. I want to give you an example of some of this opportunistic work that can be done. Those 9 president's postdocs and chancellor's postdocs successful hires that I mentioned earlier will bring to this college a subsidy of $4 million from UCOP. And that's over the next 5 years. If we meet my goal to hire an additional 5 president's postdocs and chancellor's postdocs per year for the duration of the Mellon HSI grant to the president's postdoc program, that subsidy will grow by an additional $600,000 a year. This demonstrates the combination of focused attention on undergraduate enrollments, in-state and especially out-of-state, lots of advantages, lots of opportunities there, along with opportunistic look at where we can find additional resources to support our work can be our path forward. And we need to have another year like we've had this year in admissions. And we need to improve our graduation rates, but we also need to have, just take pride in and remember, we can do the work with undergraduate credit hours that has been done, accomplished this year. It's out of that we build the enrollment gains that builds the financial stability necessary. Now, all of these scenarios give us a window onto the resources that we have at our disposal, but they don't really tell us how, why, and where to allocate the resources that we have or we can secure. The longer-term guiding path, then, is our strategic plan. So that has just been launched this past week at strategicplan.ucr.edu. I invite all of you to take a look at that and peruse that, both for the campus and also for our college. I want to thank each and every one of you who participated in the process of developing that plan over the past year. I want to recognize and mark that this plan is iterative, and we will make and refine collaborative decisions and adjustments through 2030. So, I want to close with a story that draws from some recent encounters with the Wong family that's given me some inspiration as I conclude my second year as your dean in a time of some budgetary challenges. We returned to UCR Arts, which hosted on May 12th a screening of the documentary Fanny, The Right to Rock, and a live performance of the 2 of the members of the rock band, Fanny, June Millington and Bree Darling. For those of you who don't know, Fanny is an all-women's Asian American rock band which was formed in Northern California in the 1960s. It is now on tour in spots including the Grammy Museum and right here at UCR. The Wongs donated the proceeds from the sale of their Chinese immigrant parents' home in downtown Riverside to UCR, more specifically to CHASS, to fund Asian American and Pacific Islander programming. As those 5 siblings of the parents, the Wongs aged and dispersed, and then one passed away, Their commitments to CHASS endured, and their giving interest shifted to film. And they funded new programming that brought Fanny to UCR Arts in partnership with California Humanities. The eldest surviving sibling, Jan Lee, recently wrote to me about this event. And these are the Wongs right here, Jan Lee's right here. So I'm reading from Jan Lee's message to me. On behalf of my siblings, Dawn, Linda, and Julie, this is to express our deep appreciation for your hard work in putting together one of the best Wong family forums that UCR has held. The film Fanny and their performance epitomize both the struggle and the very best of Asian America. Family is so important to all of us, and by the end of the program, in our conversations with you all, Bree and June, we all felt like family. I've attached a classic photo of my parents, Voy and Fei, at Guangzhou's Shuji Park in 1947, just before leaving for the United States. Separated for 10 years due to the Chinese Exclusion Act, Voy, Wong's sibling's father, is dressed as an American, and Fei, mother, is as someone just coming from the village. This was the beginning of our Riverside family, as our eldest sister, Ellen, was conceived on this trip. We are proud of both our Taishan, China, and our Inland Empire roots, and we're looking forward to future Wong family forums. Thank you very much. Signed, Jan Lee Wong. Now let's face it, everyone. The Asian American experience in California, from exclusion acts to lynching, from internment and refugee resettlement to contemporary acts of anti-Asian bias through the pandemic, have been very tough. Jan Lee spoke directly to this in his opening remarks at UCR Arts. He also spoke to the gratitude that such hard histories are part of our core academic mission and our core definition of student success. We can all face the broader dilemma here, the fact that our core academic mission and our measures of student success and our students have been buffeted by bias toward immigrants, bias toward ethnic studies. We must deal with the constant din in the press and in the world of the death of this or that humanities major, or the poor job prospects in the arts. ChatGPT, it would seem, has caused a collective freakout across the academy that sometimes struggles to tell its why. But I want to go back to the Wongs and their kind and generous words of gratitude and meaningful connection. We consider what can be done to amplify and expand their commitments to CHASS and what we do, especially once the development team is restored to its full strength. And finally, I think we also can think broadly about what took place at UCR Arts on the 12th of May and what's taking place week over week, quarter over quarter, year over year, in our classrooms, in our laboratories, and our studios. And I'm very proud to affirm my position that the state of the College of CHASS is vibrant, urgent, and necessary. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So we will open it up for questions in person or online. Feel free to say any questions. Who's a volunteer bravely?
And if you can wait till we get a mic to you if you do have a question.
Yeah, I was ready to pick on my own food. My boss right
Who is?
What is it? Oh, we have a question right here.
Hi, John Fisher from the Philosophy Department. I wanted, not really a question, but just to really commend you. I don't remember another dean who's managed to find the positives about our college and highlight them so much, and I think I really appreciate that. And I specifically want to talk about the inaugural Dean's Lecture. I just think that was an excellent occasion. My wife and I both enjoyed it. And the idea of bringing us together as a college, because we're somewhat polarized like the humanities across the country and social sciences, but to have events like that that are designed to bring us together, I really appreciated that, and I commend you for that.
Thank you, John. Let's look forward to next year. It wasn't a one-off.
No questions.
Any online, Melanie? No?
We did that amazing.
Exactly. Jen and I. Jen and I started out at, were we in Pasadena together?
We were in Pasadena.
We were in Pasadena together. Here
And Sarah, shout out to Sarah. Sarah's
Sarah,
watching
exactly,
online.
we were. Jen and I have been on this road show of telling the CHASS story for 6 weeks now. That's right, you were in Pasadena because you were out front, yes. Jen's amazing, by the way.
Daryl, I have a question for staff for the
Yes. I'm sorry, hang on, I'm sorry.
for staff the scholarship or the 25,000. How do we? You said July 1st. How do we apply? How does that work?
Need to put all that together, but I'm going to entrust Erica to take primary responsibility for that. Along with that conversation, I've asked of Erica to be thinking about some broader relationships with Coro, among other things. Yeah, I think need some initial guidance and have some conversation about what demand looks like. I have heard that some of our staff are interested in being students taking classes at Unix. Sure. Okay, what does that look like? Maybe some things also off campus. So to provide some parameters about what demand and what cost associated, but also how this advances the staff in their professional aspirations. And how that, again, I'd like to be honest, see how that advancement reflects back on some of our core needs and goals in the college. And it's, I would share, don't know what demand's going to be. So if it turns out it's more than that, we'll find the resources to get the work done.
So there is a question. You mentioned the recruitment for the CHASS Assistant Dean Director of Student Success.
Yes.
What is your vision for this position?
Yes. The vision is someone who will be the senior staff person in a large work group, a student academic advisor group, will report directly to the associate dean, will be the primary person to set the agenda, the strategic vision, the implementation of our core student success goals, graduation rates, general flow of majors and graduate, but particularly graduation rates, meeting our goals for graduation rates, but also thinking about really what a fulsome undergraduate experience is going to look like moving forward, knowing the students that we have, knowing where those students want to be, and certainly also mapping that onto the obligations that we have to the state of California, which are articulated in UC 2030, but also the opportunities we can see as we benchmark ourselves to other AAU institutions. I should say, that person will be a senior leader of that work group, but also a senior leader at the table. Some of you have been to my office, I have a big table. Be at the table.
Any other questions?
Hi.
Alex.
You need a microphone right there.
I just want to ask about graduate student success and future recruitment. I didn't see that too much in the presentation. If you could elaborate.
This is it's an interesting time to have that conversation because of the many different kinds of conversations, national conversations about what's the nature of graduate studies, what is the nature of graduate training, how long should it take, for what purpose, and then the job market, which varies a lot across our college. We have a lot of different disciplines. Some are doing excellent, right into whatever the professions that require that degree. Some struggle, okay? So this national conversation, kind of unsettled, and then we have the UAW contracts. Fair and just compensation is now core baked into graduate student, should be baked into the graduate student experience at UCR. How we're going to pay for that still is something, over the long term, is still something that has not been resolved at our campus or really across the UC. But then this is in dialogue with, I think, some new conversations that we have to have with the graduate division. There's a new dean coming in about what is the relationship between the graduate division and the colleges, and between graduate program size, between benchmarks, between packages. I'm particularly have been in support of fully funded cohorts, but that may mean looking again at the size of the cohort or the expectations of time to degree. And we have national models that we can look at, so we don't need to completely invent this ourselves here. But that, I think, is this very unsettled period. core, I will say, is the graduate students continue to do the work that they're doing in their studies and those who are doing research or teaching. We have already started meeting the obligations of the contract. April 1st, we'll continue to do so. The next contract date, October 1st of this year and the following year. So that part is clear. There's a larger question about how to pay for it and then how that has an impact on not just graduate studies, the financing of graduate studies, but it was the nature of graduate studies across our disciplines over the next 5 years.
There's a question online.
Yes.
Andrews Wreath asks, I believe that there are a significant number of retirements of CHASS faculty on the horizon. Do you have a policy about replacing retirements and returning those lines to the departments?
We have a policy, and any separation, the funds revert 100% to the college for allocation as strategic and needs are. So that won't change, and that is the policy that's in practice right now. We have 16.5 separations this year. 16.5 separations. Those dollars will revert to the college and then distributing them out. This year, I think right now, Susan, we are at 12, 13 successful Senate hires, or something along those lines. So, but that's also a moment in time as well. I will say, with retirements, it's true, but we're also doing hiring as well. So as some faculty members separate for many different reasons, it is really important we bring new faculty members in as well.
So just to follow up, my colleague Andy Reed, and I think I know the answer to this question, but when someone retires from a department, is there any prima facie expectation of returning that position to that department, or is it just now the slate is clean?
Well, the slate isn't clean because excellence needs to be supported, but excellence needs to be mapped onto student success, graduation rates. Those must be part of our decisions about allocation of resources. So in a positive way, I'm going to put this as positive, a department is making meaningful efforts to meet their students, their undergraduate students, where they are, and to graduate them, should have the faculty members to advance that.
Questions? All righty, going once, going twice, sold. We're done.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for joining us. Please join us outside for some light refreshments. And I'll see you guys there.
Thank you all. Yay.